I'm here with Dane Moore and Kyle Theige, Timberwolves experts here. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Obviously, the Suns added a former Timberwolves. He's only there for a couple months, but Monte Morris to the mix. What did you see from Monte in his limited time in Minnesota?
I think the best thing I saw from Monte, I mean, he came in to be just like a backup point guard, right, and kind of be Mike Conley light. But the word when he came to the Wolves was he maybe wasn't a good defender, and I thought he really fit into the defense that the Wolves had, and that was the biggest thing that surprised me. Other than that, right, it's all the things you know, like he assist to turnover ratio. He's your classic backup point guard. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed the Wolves didn't bring him back. And I think that's a good pickup for the Suns.
I also think he was one of those seasons that just kind of a throwaway season. He was kind of hurt, rehab, and you get traded from a really bad team to a new team, but you're a backup, you don't really play a lot. So I thought it was a great signing for Phoenix, especially at the minimum. Right. He's a real capable starting point guard. And again, the assist-to-turnover ratio is the count of Monte assisto.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be great for the Suns, and they give Phoenix something they probably didn't have last year, just a real constant playmaker to play alongside Booker and Beal and Kevin Durant.
Point guards matter. Right? You learned that last year. Point guards matter.
You guys mentioned the defensive end. When we talked with him, he was talking about how going to the number one defense, he was like, I don't want to be the weakest link. What did you see in terms of his defensive ability? I think he even was guarding some wings while he was there too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could tell that he was like, I mean, it was a team that everybody who played for the Wolves guarded all year. It wasn't one or two guys who were like, we're protecting him. It was a defensive identity of the group of like everybody guarded. And I thought Monte recognized that right away and maybe focused even more on that than he did the offensive side of the ball and just kind of embracing the defensive side of the floor.
It's a little chicken or egg, right? Is he a good defender or did he play good defense because the team's good? So It'll be curious to see if he brings that over to Phoenix. But when he was out there, he was a little bit of a dog too. Like you said, he could not only guard the primary attack on point guards, but also the wings. So again, I just think it's a really good signing for Phoenix because they had some holes, obviously, as you know, but to get someone like that at a minimum, you can't really do much worse.
The last thing, you guys kind of touched on it already, but in terms of coming to an established rotation, coming off the injury mid-season, the hope in Phoenix, obviously, is that with a full training camp, full health going into the season, he can go back to being one of the better backup point guards in the league. Do you feel like that's a reasonable hope for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think he needed to get in better shape last year. I think it was the injury, and he was still – I think he played 6 games with Detroit before he even got to Minnesota and started playing real rotation minutes. And, I mean, you could just turn on the film, right? It looked different than when he was in Denver or Washington before that. So I was encouraged as the season went on that he seemed to get his legs more under him, better shape. And then it looked like Monte Morris from a couple years ago.
When Mike Conley got traded to the Wolves a couple years ago, he talked about how hard it is to acclimate in season. You just kind of get thrown on the treadmill and it's going at a 10 or 11 speed. So I think point guards matter, but I also think an off-season matters. And just getting to learn your teammates a little bit more in training camp will be big for Monte.
Monte didn't seem comfortable. He just didn't seem comfortable right away. The role kind of fluctuated, and I think he kind of talked to us about it. That was hard for him to not know what the job was. He'd probably been 5-6 years having a very defined role, and there was some frustration there finding that. And I think in Phoenix, right, he knows he's going to play, maybe start, for that team, and I think that you get more out of him out of a more defined role.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for dropping Count Monte Assisto because I've been pushing that real hard.
Got it.